Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Nagamon Chetty and Charlie State.
Our headlines today. Testing is ramped up as the UK sees the highest number of new COVID infections in 2 months, putting more question marks over the relaxation of restrictions.
Lockdown is eased for around half of the people in Scotland, which means they can socialise in each other's homes and drink alcohol in pubs.
Coventry is waking up to its first major event as UK City of Culture. We can't say exactly where we are due to COVID restrictions, but it will be a city of surprises.
Tottenham won't be appointing Antonio Conte as their new manager. Talks with the Italian former Chelsea boss have broken down. Spurs are still searching for a replacement 7 weeks after sacking Jose Mourinho.
And many of us enjoying some sunny spells across the UK today, but there are some showers in the forecast. I'll be back with all the details.
Good morning, it's Saturday the 5th of June. Our top story is that more surge testing is to take place after the UK reported the highest daily coronavirus cases since March.
Several areas, including parts of Berkshire, Kent and West Yorkshire, are experiencing a rise in infections linked to the variant first detected in India, now known as Delta, with scientists urging caution over plans to lift restrictions in England later this month. Helena Wilkinson has this report.
Come on in.
Thank you very much.
With an increase in infection rates, NHS leaders are continuing to stress the message, come forward to get your vaccine when you're called. It is the Delta variant, first detected in India, which is causing problems. Public Health England says it's now become the dominant strain in the UK. Where it's been detected, surge testing has been taking place. From Monday, residents in parts of Reading and Wokingham in Berkshire will be urged to have a test as part of a 2-week programme.
We know that the Delta variant is circulating within our communities and more so in very specific parts of our communities. And we'd like to identify those early and to stop the progression of the virus.
The latest figures from across the UK show there were more than 6,200 new coronavirus infections in the last 24-hour period. That is the highest daily number of cases since the end of March. 11 deaths were recorded in the last 24 hours. Although hospital admissions are rising again in areas affected by the Delta variant, on the whole they continue to remain low. As the vaccination rollout continues, the UK regulator has approved the Pfizer vaccine for 12 to 15-year-olds. The UK's Vaccines Committee will decide whether they should be offered it. With a rise in infection rates, many in England are now asking what it means for June the 21st. That's when the government hopes to move to its final stage of its roadmap for lifting lockdown in England. Some are urging caution.
What we have to make sure we do is learn the lessons from last year. Yes, we're in a different situation than last year. Yes, we're in a different place, but what we learn from that is how quickly things can change with COVID. And that it's much easier and wiser to make decisions when there's few cases than when there's many.
The Prime Minister and Health Secretary say more data will be assessed next week before any final decisions will be made about restrictions being lifted in England. Helena Wilkinson, BBC News.
Coronavirus restrictions have eased for millions of people across Scotland from this morning.
Glasgow has moved down to level 2, which means socialising in each other's homes is allowed in limited numbers and pubs can serve alcohol.
But planned relaxation across some other parts of the country has been delayed. Conor Gillies has this report.
Preparing for pints inside the pub here in Glasgow.
Well, last week when we got all our stock in.
Margaret's place hasn't opened at all since October.
It's been absolutely horrendous for everybody, and hopefully our regulars will be back because we miss them. We miss them, so it'll be great. It'll be absolutely brilliant to see everybody.
Here in Scotland's biggest city, almost 600,000 people have been living under the strictest of restrictions for the longest period of time across the whole of the UK. Families haven't been able to mix inside their homes for 9 months. But this move from level 3 to level 2 makes that possible once again. A major milestone.
I'm looking forward to going to my nephew's communion and spending time with my family and getting a wee drink and things like that. Yeah, it'll be great. So well to see everybody again in the sunshine.
It's been a nightmare, absolute nightmare. We've really been stuck the worst really in Glasgow down. So I'm looking forward to things opening up again and maybe getting back to a wee bit of reality.
We've got Max here.
It's level 1 here on the farm in Aberdeen. This business, a magnet for families, now allowed to reopen this soft play inside.
It's been 14 months since we've been able to open the soft play. We're not as weather dependent. We can increase our capacities a little bit and things like that. So yeah, it is a big boost for us as a business.
Orkney has mostly been shielded from COVID. It, like other Scottish islands, dropping to level 0. Continued caution, though, still required.
It's the direction of travel that's really important. At the same time, we've got to be very conscious that we have more and more people coming here, and we're really asking them to take a lateral flow test, and even our own community going away and coming back again, just taking those tests to give us an extra degree of safety.
Safety amid a difficult, fragile position. But as a new day begins, so does a new dawn on regaining many of our old freedoms. Conor Gillis, BBC News.
Former US President Donald Trump has been suspended from Facebook and Instagram for at least 2 years. His account had been blocked earlier this year after he was accused of inciting violence in relation to the riots on Capitol Hill. But an internal review criticised the indefinite ban. Mr. Trump said the ruling was an insult to every person who voted for him.
Children in Scotland aged between 7 and 9 years old will be entitled to free school meals from the start of the new academic year. The Scottish Government says its free lunch policy will benefit 90,000 children. It's also extending its school holiday support for children from low-income households.
Now, the first big event of Coventry's year as the UK City of Culture takes place today after a 6-month delay because of the pandemic.
Coventry Moves, which will be online, is billed as a playful and engaging introduction to the city. Well, Colleen Harris is there for us this morning to tell us what's happening today. Gorgeous morning there, Colleen, and I imagine lots of people really looking forward to events coming up.
Yeah, well, it's been a kind of a muted thing, really, because they haven't been able to say too much due to COVID restrictions. But this is the big day that Coventry's been gearing up for, its moment in the cultural spotlight. The city is currently being dressed up all around the city. It'll be a series of pop-up events, so it will move through the city. But this has been years in the planning, so it might come as a surprise to some residents. They know it's happening, but just where, we can't say.
It's been a long wait. Now Coventry is ready. From street theatre to music, pop-up performances are set for today's launch.
Welcome to Coventry.
The city will showcase its cultural heritage, from post-war brutalist architecture to the birth of iconic Jaguars. Breathing new life into Coventry's two-tone legacy is Pauline Black from 80s band The Selector.
Oh, take me back to the days.
She says the city's year in the cultural spotlight will bring much-needed regeneration and investment.
Coventry is, if you like, the phoenix rising from the ashes because of how much it was, it was decimated here by the World War II bombing. It is the youth that is going to take that forward. But to take it forward, you need to know about your history. So I'm part of that.
Hundreds of performers and production teams have been rehearsing for months now, putting finishing touches to moments like this that will move through the city. But rather than come to Coventry to see it, the message from organisers for now is stay at home and watch from there.
The halo that I have on right now is inspired by the bicycle wheel, and there was a manufacturing boom of bicycles here.
Artist and model Daniel Lismore uses his body as a living work of art. His career has taken him around the world, but his roots are firmly planted in Coventry.
To my right is where I used to get bullied at a bus stop. I remember just thinking, like, you know, what is there for me? And then coming back later on, and the city is booming, and you know, there's so many amazing things.
The legend of Lady Godiva, who rode naked on a horse to protest against taxes, plays a central role in the opening. This modern-day Godiva is an NHS nurse campaigning for better pay and PPE during the pandemic.
For me, it's about empowerment and ensuring that everyday people, like the community, are empowered to be able to be involved and giving people opportunities, you know.
Stand by please for the elected officials and the Godivas.
It's been a challenging feat planning a cultural programme in a pandemic. Concerns about crowds have kept announcements low-key and secret. So a city of surprises awaits.
So yes, it has been a challenge for organisers who've had to rethink and reimagine how they deliver this programme. So they're asking people to stay away from the city, don't come in because it might break COVID guidelines, but it will be an event that can be watched online.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.